Hello, hello. It is the DE Diva, aka the Delaware blogger, coming to you live with another episode. Believe this is episode number 62 of Podcasting Your Purpose. And today is a beautiful Tuesday. It's also the 28th birthday of our son, Tyre Ishmael Blake. He is actually working today. He will not get off until 4. So he is my miracle child. He was born 3 months early, 2.5 pounds, and we were told that he would not live. And let me tell you something, that was not God's plan because he is now 28 years old. So happy birthday, Tyre. This episode is in dedication to you. And it's very timely as well because I want to talk about repurposing podcast content. If you have not started your podcast yet, I'm going to ask you why not, because you should be starting a podcast or at least thinking about starting a podcast because it broadens your brand and expands your exposure online. And now, since we are still self-quarantined, we are still trying to maintain our social distance as well as flatten this curve or eradicate COVID-19 until they have a vaccine. We need a way in which to share our message with like-minded people. And if you're anything like me, Facebook is becoming very, very mentally, psychologically, and absolutely just physically draining. So if you have a lot on your mind, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, and you just have to get it out of your head, I always recommend writing it down, whether it's in a journal, if you have a notebook, or if you're starting a blog. I use a spiral notebook and I write down stuff each and every day just to get it out of my head. I also have a gratitude journal that I use as well. But podcasting is now another great alternative for you because you can simply sit down and talk out your thoughts. Talk out whatever it is that you want to get out because you do have a voice, you do have a vision and a mission. And remember, our gift from God is life. And what we do with that life is our gift back to him. So today we're going to talk about repurposing podcast content so that you can get even broader branding, wider audience. So today's cup is an old one, an oldie but goodie, Obama '08. I'm waiting on a new mug this week. I hope to have that because that person will be a sponsor of this episode or all the episodes that I feature his mug. So let's talk about this. Why repurposing podcast content is important. We know that there are literally, now there's more than 1 million podcasts. Apple and Spotify both announced back in April that they have exceeded 1 million podcast shows. More than 35% of Americans are listening to podcast shows. So this is spit it out. This is a great way to expand and broaden your brand online, to give them an exposure to you, to your blog, to your website, to your brick and mortar, so that people can have that intimate conversation, have that intimate relationship with you. Remember when I talk about the intimacy, because the largest sexual organ that a human has is their brain, and that is between their ears. So when someone chooses to pop in these earbuds or put on those headsets, they are choosing to have an intimate one-on-one relationship with you. So having a podcast is, again, a great way in which to broaden your brand and expand your exposure online. And if you are doing the podcasting weekly shows, you can repurpose the content. So today I'm going to talk about 5 ways in which to repurpose the content. Also, the importance. Another thing that's great about repurposing content is the search engine optimization. You've heard about this SEO. This is where the Google bots literally go through to find content to answer questions that people Google: how to boil an egg, what's the temperature going to be, how to do this, how to do that. And what they're doing is they're going through and they're finding content that's being shared and it's being popular, and they're giving that information to the end user. And they want to give them the best information. So if you're taking a podcast and you're taking those show notes and using those keywords, then people will find you when they are Googling, how to write a blog, or what's the blogging basics for beginners. Again, basic blogging tips for beginners, right? This is my book. And I actually have repurposed a lot of the content, not only in my blog, but also in a podcast. And this book is available still $9.99. You can go to my blog, delblogger.com, to order it. And if you want, you can send me an email. Let me give you my email address so that you can get an autographed copy of it as well. So when people are doing a search on Google, they want to be able to find the content. So if you repurpose the show notes from your podcast, that's a way for people to get answers to their questions. You are also building up your credibility as a subject matter expert, an SME. Why? Because you are providing content that is valuable to your audience, to your listeners, to your readers. And people are now going to start to trust you. They like you, they trust you, and eventually they will buy from you. So you want to build that up. You want to have that three-legged stool so that when it's time for you to get out here and sell a product, a service, or an offering, that people will have known about you because you built up credibility. You're the subject matter expert in whatever your podcast topic is. Also, it builds, excuse me, hold on. That's why you have to have a cup with you. I apologize for that. That's one of the tips I talked about, having something with you, liquid, so that you can hydrate yourself when you're having a conversation on a podcast. Brand awareness is what I was going to talk about. You want to continue to build onto your brand. You're going to have listeners that now want to check you out on other sites. So we're going to talk about those 5 ways to repurpose and repackage your podcast content. Number 1, of course, I'm going to talk about blog posts all day, every day, simply due to the fact that I've been blogging since 2012. And you think about this. Remember I said there are 1 million podcast shows? That's baby. That's infancy, because there are literally over 650 million blogs out there active in the United States. So again, you compare 1 million to 650, you still can get in where you fit in and still have a wide audience. So blog posts, if you don't already have a dedicated website where you house all of your podcast episodes, which I do, mine is actually on a pod page, where if you go to pod page, I'll leave that in the show notes, you can see every episode that I've ever created on Anchor FM. My Anchor FM ID, let me show you that. It's Delaware Blogger. Every Saturday at 10 a.m., I have a new episode on Anchor FM. And I'm there also talking about podcasting and blogging. So all 215 episodes are there. And I love Anchor FM. I started with Anchor FM back in 2017. And when I conduct my workshops, whether they're online or in person, which we'll eventually get back to that, I have the book, Podcasting Your Purpose. And in this book, it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to set up your Anchor FM account, how to record, how to publish, and all of that. So this is available as well on Amazon. If you'd like a copy, again, you can just go right to Amazon.com and order a copy of Podcasting Your Purpose. And shout out to Demia. She just received her copy. So I'm so glad. I can't wait to read her review about it. But as a bundle, I have a book bundle. It's a 2 for $26. You get basic blogging tips for beginners, as well as Podcasting Your Purpose workbook. And this is a great way to get you started on blogging and podcasting. So take those blog posts, transcribe it, your show notes. That's why having show notes is very important. Take that content, repurpose it, transcribe whatever it is that you talked about in the podcast, and especially if you have a guest, because you are getting more valuable content from your guests. So you can turn that into a blog post, and it is sharing more information. And again, if you are interested in learning how to start a blog post or start a podcast, send an email to info@ablakeenterprises.com for your complimentary 30-minute discovery call so we can figure out where you want to go, what your topic is, your description, even, your show notes, intro, outro music. We talk about that on podcasting. And then for your blog, how to set it up. If you already have a website, it's great to add a tab because then that content is being shared and you're rising up in the search engine optimization. So that's another thing that we talk about. So send an email if you're interested in that 30-minute complimentary discovery call so we can get you scheduled. Oh, next week. This week is booked. Okay. So the next number 2 is you can repurpose into a video. That's right here on YouTube. There are 2 ways in which you can do so. You can take that MP3, which is the audio, and convert it to MP4, which is video, and upload that to YouTube and just have a static picture, like just a picture, what I have here, my thumbnail or my channel art. Just have that there. Or you can set up the camera to record you, the behind the scenes, the actual live podcast, and upload that to YouTube or go live on YouTube. So that's a great way as well, because some people love to watch you. Some people love to listen to you. So again, you're expanding your brand, broadening your brand and expanding your exposure online. And you know what? Let me tell you, what the facts are about YouTube, right? YouTube has more than 1.9 billion users every month. Man, you cannot not be on YouTube. You need to be on YouTube, right? Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not a subby now. Thumbs up this video and share it with all your family and friends, because I think of YouTube as the granddaddy. I think of YouTube as like the grandfather of social media. It's like YouTube University. If you want to learn something, you just go to YouTube and pull it up. There's so much information out there. So that's why I'm so glad that I'm here. I have an opportunity to sit here and talk to you every day, Monday through Friday, giving you podcasting pointers. So that's number 2. Number 1 was turned into a blog post. Number 2 is actually going into a video. Number 3, infographics. Okay, so these are great and you can create them free on Canva. That's right, go to Canva. So if your podcast is a DIY podcast or you're trying to teach people how to do things, they sometimes would rather see it. If you have like graphics and stuff like that, it's hard for the brain to comprehend those charts and those graphics. But if you provide an infographic that accompanies your podcast, you're repurposing the content. You're giving people who are visual learners or those that want to see behind the scenes, step 1, step 2, step 3, so on and so forth. That is much better. And then again, you are sharing and broadening your brand, and it may interest those that receive those infographics to come over and check out your podcast. So that's the 3rd way in which to do so. Number 4, and don't forget, you can go right to Canva and do that. Number 4, the most obvious one is, I should have started with number 1, this being number 1, but the most obvious thing is on your social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, whatever the case may be. You can repurpose the content of your podcast on all these social media platforms, and especially on Twitter when you're using the hashtags to help people search for that podcast. You can create memes and GIFs. You can create quotes. You can pull out information from the podcast so that you get people interested. Today, I did a simple graphic saying, repurpose your podcast content. I posted that on Facebook, said I'm going live at noon on YouTube, put that out there. And then after that, I'll repurpose this video, embed it either into a blog post later, or I will send this out. I'm going to share this out, on my social media platforms. I'm going to use Promo Republic to upload it and then to share it throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, because this is evergreen content. I know some things change, but a lot of things don't change at all. So use your social media. And another great thing about it is if you're doing Q&As or you have a guest, why not have your podcast going and then at the end, then go live again with your guest and do a Q&A live on Facebook, on Instagram, or on Twitter to get even more people interested if they missed the podcast, but they want to know more. They want to get in depth. It's like behind the scenes, again, the DIY, but also like the blooper reels and the bonus material. So that's a great way also to repurpose your content, to introduce people to your guests. introduce people to your platform. Just introduce everyone to what you're doing to broaden your brand and expand your exposure online. And last but not least, and I'm just going to start in with 5 because I don't like for these videos to go too long, no longer than 20 minutes, because everyone's got things to do, and I just want to jump in here really quickly at lunchtime in case you had an opportunity to pop in your earbuds and check me out if you're back in the office, or even if you're in your home office. Ebooks and courses. Take all that content and create ebooks, courses, or even printables that you can share. You can provide freebies to get even more people interested in your content. Teachable, Share Slide. There's some other great sites where you can literally put together these courses. So check it out. Repurpose your content again, either in a blog post, a YouTube video, infographics, social media posts, books, courses, whatever. Don't let it be one and done. And again, if you are interested in learning how to start your podcast, you can send me an email to get your 30-minute free discovery call so we could talk about that. If you're interested in the book, again, the workbook, because in the workbook, it is laid out to you. Why start a podcast? Actually, what is a podcast? Why start a podcast? The power of podcasting. Planning a podcast, because remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Podcasting like a pro. What kind of hardware are you going to use? What kind of software? What kind of mic? What kind of editing software? Podcasting promotion pointers. If you're following along on this series of Podcasting Your Purpose, we talked about podcasting promotional tips, pointers, and I do have some printables, freebie printables. So if you're interested, send me an email and put in the subject line printables, and I will get them to you. Podcasting for profit. People are looking for ways to monetize their podcast, and that is no shame in your game, because you want to figure out how this is going to work, but you don't want to give up when you're not making the money or you're not rolling in the dough, like Joe Rogan, who just signed that $100 million deal or something astronomical. Podcasting hosting plans. I'm with Elite Conversations. They are a great community. It's more than a company, it's a community. So check out eliteconversations.com if you're thinking about podcasting and you want a host for your platform. And of course, talking about podcasting on Anchor. So this is available $15.99. You can order it from me by sending me an email, or you can go to amazon.com. Also, if you're interested in starting a blog, these are basic blogging tips for beginners. Really easy, breezy read. Everything from choosing your topic, the 3 P's of blogging, the 3 C's of blogging, the ABCs of blogging. We talk about writing and formatting, driving traffic, getting noticed, and of course, monetizes. 8 ways to monetize your blog. This is $9.99. Again, if you are interested in the book bundle, send an email and say, I want a book bundle. It's $26, free shipping. I'll get that out to you as well. So as always, thank you so very much for giving me a few minutes of your time. Great. I didn't go over 20 minutes. I'm here every day, Monday through Friday. This is episode number 62, Repurposing Podcast Content. Make sure you are listening to my Saturday podcast, Delaware Blogger Podcast, on Anchor FM every Saturday at 10 is a new episode, but you go there, there's over 200 and some odd podcast episodes there. And then on Wednesday, blog your way to a business profit. Every Wednesday at 1, this is where I'm with Elite Conversation. I'm giving you blogging tips and trends that's going to turn your passion into a profit. And tomorrow I'm talking about some of the mistakes new bloggers make and how to avoid them. Because again, I've been doing this since about 2012. Yeah, exactly 2012. Dell Blogger is my second blog. DEDVDeals.com. Fashion and Fun After 50 was my first blog. It's still out there. I don't write to it. But go to Dell Blogger, subscribe to it as well. And listen, if you want to find me on all my social media platforms, let me give you my Linktree ID. I'm Dell Blogger. You can use the, Dell Blogger on Linktree, or just use the hashtag Delaware Blogger, and I'll pop up all over the place. So until tomorrow, stay smart, stay safe, and stay social. Still from a distance, because I will see you in cyberspace. See ya. It's the DE Diva, aka the Delaware Blogger. Have a beautifully blessed day. Bye-bye.